Koninklijke Luchtvaart Maatschappij N.V, best known by its initials KLM, is the flag carrier airline of the Netherlands. KLM's headquarters is in Amstelveen near its hub at Amsterdam Airport Schiphol. KLM operates scheduled passenger and cargo services to more than 90 destinations worldwide. It is the oldest airline in the world still operating under its original name. As of 2013 it had 32,505 employees. The merger of KLM with Air France in May 2004 formed the Air France-KLM Group, which is incorporated under French law with headquarters at Paris-Charles de Gaulle Airport. Both Air France and KLM continue to fly under their distinct brand names as subsidiaries of the group. Air France and KLM are part of the SkyTeam alliance, the second largest in the world behind only the Star Alliance. History, formation and early years. In 1919, a young aviator lieutenant named Albert Pulsman sponsored the ELTA Aviation Exhibition in Amsterdam. This aviation exhibition was a great success, and, after closure, several Dutch commercial interests had the intention to establish a Dutch airline. Pulsman was nominated to head this new airline. In September 1919, Queen Wilhelmina awarded the yet-to-be-founded KLM its royal predicate. On October 7, 1919, KLM was founded by Albert Pulsman in The Hague as one of the world's first commercial airline companies. The first KLM flight took place on May 17, 1920. KLM's first pilot, Jerry Shaw, flew from Croydon Airport, London to Amsterdam. The flight was flown using a leased aircraft Transport and Travel de Havilland DH-16, registration GALU, and was carrying 2 British journalists and a number of newspapers. In 1920, KLM carried 440 passengers and 22 tons of freight. In April 1921, after a winter hiatus, KLM resumed its services using its own pilots and aircraft, Fokker FII and Fokker FE. In 1921, KLM started scheduled services. KLM's first intercontinental flight was initiated on 1 October 1924. This flight had Batavia on the island Java in the Dutch East Indies as the final destination and was flown by a Fokker FE with registration HNACC and was piloted by Van der Hoop. In September 1929, regular scheduled services between Amsterdam and Batavia commenced. Until the outbreak of the Second World War in 1939, this was the world's longest distance scheduled service by airplane. By 1926, it was offering flights to Amsterdam, Rotterdam, Brussels, Paris, London, Bremen, Copenhagen, and Malmö Paragraph, using primarily Fokker F2 and Fokker FE. In 1930, KLM carried 15,143 passengers. The Douglas DC-2 was introduced on the Batavia service in 1934. The first transatlantic KLM flight was between Amsterdam and Kuala Section O in December 1934 using the Fokker FXVII SNP. The first of the airline's Douglas DC-3 aircraft were delivered in 1936, and these replaced the DC-2s on the service via Batavia to Sydney. KLM was the first airline to serve Manchester's New Ringway Airport, starting June 1938. KLM was the only civilian airline to operate the Douglas DC-5, using 4 of them in the Dutch East and West Indies between May 1940 and late 1941. Second World War. When German military forces invaded the Netherlands on May 10, 1940, a number of KLM aircraft were en route to or from the Far East or operating services in Europe. 5 DC-3s and 1 DC-2 managed to escape to England. During the war, these KLM planes and crew members would fly the infamous Bristol-Lisbon scheduled passenger flights under BOAC registration. The Douglas DC-3 PHALI Ibis, then registered as GAGBB, was attacked 3 times by the Luftwaffe, on November 15, 1942, April 19, 1943, and finally on June 1, 1943. Some KLM aircraft with their crews ended up in the Australia-Indonesia region, where they aided in transporting people who were escaping the Japanese aggression in that area. Post-World War II, after the ending of the Second World War in the fall of 1945, KLM immediately started to rebuild its network. Since the Dutch East Indies were in a state of revolt, Pelsman's first priority was to re-establish KLM's route to Batavia. This service was reinstated by the end of 1945. Domestic and European flights resumed in September 1945, initially with a fleet of Douglas DC-3s and Douglas DC-4s. On May 21, 1946, KLM was the first continental European airline to start transatlantic scheduled flights between Amsterdam and New York City using Douglas DC-4 aircraft. By 1948, KLM had reconstructed its network and service resumed to Africa, North and South America, and the Caribbean. Long-range pressurized Lockheed Constellations and Douglas DC-6s joined KLM's fleet in the late 1940s. The Convair 240 short-range pressurized twin-engined airliner began European flights for the company in late 1948. During the immediate post-war period, the Dutch government expressed interest in gaining a majority stake in the airline and thus nationalizing KLM. Pelsman, however, wanted KLM to remain a private company under private control and thus only allowed the Dutch government a minority stake in KLM. In 1950, KLM carried 356,069 passengers. The expansion of the network continued in the 1950s with the addition of several destinations in Western North America. KLM's fleet expanded as well with the addition of new versions of the Lockheed Constellation and Lockheed Electra, of which KLM was the first European airline to fly. On December 31, 1953, the founder and president of KLM, Albert Pelsman, died at the age of 64. Van Ziller succeeded Albert Pelsman as KLM's president. After the death of Pelsman, the company and other airlines entered a difficult economic period. The conversion to jet airplanes placed a further financial burden on KLM. Besides all this, the Dutch government increased its ownership of the company to 2/3, and thus hereby nationalized the airline. The board of directors, however, remained under the control of the private shareholders. On July 25, 1957, the airline introduced its flight simulator for the Douglas DC-7CA the last KLM aircraft with piston engines which opened the transpolar route from Amsterdam via Anchorage to Tokyo on November 1, 1958. Each crew flying the transpolar route over the Arctic was equipped with a winter survival kit, including a 7.62 ohm selective fire AR-10 carbine for use against polar bears, in the event the plane was forced down onto the polar ice. Jet age: beginning in September 1959, the airline introduced the 4-engine turboprop Lockheed Electra onto some of its European and Middle Eastern routes. In March 1960, KLM introduced the first Douglas DC-8 jet into its fleet. In 1961, KLM reported its first year of losses. In 1961, the president of KLM, Van Ziller, was succeeded by Ernst van der Beugel. This change of leadership, however, did not lead to a reversion of KLM's financial difficulties. Van der Beugel resigned as president in 1963 due to health reasons. Horatius Albeda was appointed to succeed Ernst van der Beugel as president of KLM in 1963. Albeda initiated a reorganization of the company, which led to the reduction of staff and air services. In 1965, Albeda died in an air crash. Dr. Gerrit van der Wal succeeded Albeda as president of KLM. Van der Wal forged an agreement with the Dutch government that KLM would be run once again as a private company without interference of the government. By 1966, the stake of the Dutch government in KLM was reduced to a minority stake of 49.5%. In 1966, KLM introduced the Douglas DC-9 on European and Middle East routes. The new terminal buildings at Amsterdam Airport Schiphol opened in April 1967 and in 1968, the stretched Douglas DC-8-63 entered service. With 244 seats, it was the largest airliner at the time. KLM was the first airline to put the higher gross weight Boeing 747-200B into service, starting in February 1971, powered by Pratt & Whitney JT9D engines, thus beginning the airline's era of wide-body jets. In March 1971, KLM opened its current headquarters in Amstelveen. In 1972, KLM purchased the first of several Douglas DC-10 aircraft. This jet was McDonnell Douglas's response to Boeing's 747. In 1973, Sergio Orlandini was appointed to succeed Gerrit van der Wal as president of KLM. At the time, KLM, as well as other airlines, had to deal with overcapacity. Orlandini proposed to convert KLM 747s to Combis that could carry a combination of passengers and freight. In November 1975, the first of these Boeing 747-300B Combi aircraft were added to the KLM fleet. The oil crisis of 1973, which caused difficult economic conditions, led KLM to seek government assistance in arranging debt refinancing. KLM issued additional shares of stock to the government, in return for its money. In the late 1970s, the government's stake had again increased to a majority stake of 78%. KLM thus, again, was nationalized. The company management, however, remained under control of the private stakeholders. 1980s and 1990s. In 1980, KLM carried 9,715,069 passengers. In 1983, it reached an agreement with Boeing to convert some of its Boeing 747-200s to stretched upper deck configuration. The work started in 1984 at the Boeing factory in Everett, Washington and finished in 1986. The converted aircraft were called Boeing 747-200 SUD, which the airline operated in addition to Boeing 747-300s. In 1983 as well, KLM took delivery of its first Airbus A310 passenger jets. Sergio Orlandini retired in 1987 and was succeeded by Jan de Soet as president of KLM. In 1986, the share of the Dutch government in KLM was reduced to 54.8%. It was expected that this share would be reduced further during the decade. The Boeing 747-400 was introduced into KLM's fleet in June 1989. With the liberalization of the European market, KLM started with the development of its hub at Amsterdam Airport Schiphol by feeding its network with traffic from affiliated airlines. A major step in the development of a worldwide network was the acquisition of a 20% stake in Northwest Airlines in July 1989. In 1990, KLM carried 16 million passengers. KLM President Jan de Soet retired at the end of 1990 and was succeeded in 1991 by Peter Bouw. In December 1991, KLM was the first European airline to introduce a frequent flyer loyalty program, which was called Flying Dutchmen. Joint venture. In January 1993, the U.S. Department of Transportation granted KLM and Northwest Airlines antitrust immunity, which allowed the two airlines to intensify their partnership. As of September 1993, the partners operated all their flights between the U.S. and Europe as part of a joint venture. In March 1994, KLM and Northwest Airlines introduced World Business Class on intercontinental routes. KLM's stake in Northwest Airlines was increased to 25% in 1994. KLM introduced the Boeing 767-300ER in July 1995. In January 1996, KLM acquired a 26% share in the flag carrier of Kenya, Kenya Airways. In 1997, Peter Bouw resigned as president of KLM. He was succeeded by Leo van Wyk. In August 1998, KLM repurchased all regular shares from the Dutch government to make KLM, once again, a private company. On November 1, 1999, KLM founded Air Cares, a communication and fundraising platform supporting worthy causes and focusing on underprivileged children around the world. In March and June 2002, KLM announced that it would renew its intercontinental fleets by replacing the Boeing 767s, Boeing 747-300s, and eventually the McDonnell Douglas MD-11 with Boeing 777-200ERs and Airbus A330-200s. Some 747s would be first to retire. The MD-11s will remain in service until 2014. The first Boeing 777 was received on October 25, 2003, entering commercial service on the Amsterdam-Toronto route, while the first Airbus A330-200 was introduced on August 25, 2005 and entered commercial service on the Amsterdam-Washington Dulles route. Air France-KLM merger. On September 30, 2003, Air France and KLM announced and agreed to a merger plan in which Air France and KLM would become subsidiaries of a holding company called Air France-KLM. Both airlines would retain their own brands and both Paris-Charles de Gaulle and Amsterdam Airport Schiphol would become the key hubs. In February 2004, the European Commission and U.S. Department of Justice approved the proposed merger of Air France and KLM. In April 2004, an exchange offer took place in which KLM shareholders exchanged their KLM shares for Air France shares. The merger of Air France and KLM was approved by the shareholders in April 2004. By exchanging the KLM shares for Air France shares, the merger was therefore fulfilled on May 4, 2004. The exchange offer was called successful. As of May 5, 2004, the merger of Air France and KLM was a done deal. Since May 5, 2004, Air France-KLM has been listed on the Euronext exchanges in Paris, Amsterdam and New York. In September 2004, the merger was completed by creation of the Air France-KLM holding company. The merger of Air France and KLM resulted in the world's largest airline group. The merger should lead to an annual total cost saving of between 400 and 500 million euros. It did not appear that KLM's long-standing joint venture with Northwest Airlines was affected by the merger with Air France. Both KLM and Northwest joined the SkyTeam alliance in September 2004. In March 2007, KLM started to use the Amadeus reservation system, along with partner Kenya Airways. Furthermore, after 10 years, Leo van Wyjk resigned from his position as president of KLM, being succeeded by Peter Hartmann. Recent developments: in January 2010, Northwest Airlines was merged to Delta Airlines, ending their 21-year-long alliance with KLM. In September 2010, KLM announced that the passenger division of Martingale would be integrated within KLM. All personnel and routes will be transferred to KLM. By November 2011, Martingale only consisted of the cargo and maintenance division. In March 2011, KLM and Insulair reached an agreement for mutual interline cooperation on Insulair destinations, thus expanding its services to its passengers. Beginning March 27, 2011, KLM passengers could also fly to all Insulair destinations, through Insulair's hubs in Curaçao and St. Martin. On February 20, 2013, KLM announced that Peter Hartmann would resign as president and CEO of KLM on July 1, 2013. He was succeeded by Camille Ellings. Peter Hartmann will remain employed by KLM until he retires on January 1, 2014. KLM received the award for Best Airline Staff Service in Europe at the World Airline Awards 2013. This award represents the rating for an airline's performance across both airport staff and cabin staff combined, and were first introduced in 2010. It is the second consecutive year that KLM won this award. In 2012 it was awarded with this title as well. Corporate Affairs and Identity Management. KLM's corporate leadership is in hands of President and Chief Executive Officer Camille Ellings. The President and CEO is part of the larger Executive Committee, which manages KLM and consists of the statutory managing directors and executive vice presidents of KLM's business units. The business units that are represented in the Executive Committee range from operations to industrial relations, and from engineering and maintenance to in-flight services. The supervision and management of KLM are structured in accordance with the two-tier model. This means that the Board of Managing Directors is supervised by a separate and independent Supervisory Board. Furthermore, the Supervisory Board supervises the general performance of KLM as well. The Board of Managing Directors of KLM is formed by the 4 managing directors, including the CEO. The Supervisory Board is formed by 9 supervisory directors. Head Office. KLM's head office is located in Amstelveen, on a 16-acre site near Schiphol Airport. The current KLM headquarters was built between 1968 and 1970. Before the opening of the new headquarters, the airline's head office was on the property of Schiphol Airport in the Haarlem area. Subsidiaries. Companies with a major KLM stake include former subsidiaries, associates, and joint ventures of KLM in the past include KLM Asia. KLM Asia is a wholly KLM-owned subsidiary registered in Taiwan. The airline was established in 1995 in order to operate flights to Taipei, Taiwan, without compromising the traffic rights held by KLM for destinations in the People's Republic of China. KLM Asia was one of a number of airline subsidiaries flying under the Asia name with the same purpose of flying to Taiwan. These included Japan Asia Airways, Air France-KLM, Asiana Airlines, British Asia Airways, Swiss Asia, and Australia Asia Airlines. The livery of KLM Asia does not feature Dutch national symbols, such as the flag of the Netherlands, nor does it use KLM's stylized Dutch crown logo. Instead, it features a special KLM Asia logo. KLM Asia has 3 Boeing 747-400 combi aircraft, 7 Boeing 777-200ER, and 2 Boeing 777-300ER all included in the KLM fleet. KLM Asia initially operated the Amsterdam-Bangkok-Taipei route with a B747-400 combi or a B747-400 non-combi aircraft. Since March 2012, KLM Asia has operated the revised Amsterdam-Taipei-Manila route with Boeing 777-200ER/-300ER aircraft. Branding. At its establishment in 1919, Dirk Rosenberg designed the iconic KLM logo. In this logo, Rosenberg intertwined the letter K, L, and M and gave them wings and a crown. The crown was depicted to denote KLM's royal status, which was granted at KLM's establishment. The logo became known as the Vinklogo. In 1925, the original KLM logo was revised so that it looked more dynamic compared to the original logo. The biggest revision of the KLM logo so far took place in 1961. In this year, FHK Henrien designed the current KLM logo. The crown remained in the logo, formed by the line, the 4 blue circles, and the cross on top of the logo. In 1991, the logo was further revised by Chris Ludlow of Henrien, Ludlow and Schmidt. In addition to its main logo, KLM has shown its alliance status in its branding, including worldwide reliability with Northwest Airlines and the SkyTeam alliance. Livery and uniforms. The former KLM livery featured a bright blue fuselage, with a wide white and dark blue strip above the grey belly of the aircraft. The KLM logo was placed on the white tail. The KLM logo was placed centrally at the tail and placed at the front part of the fuselage. In December 2002, KLM introduced its current livery. In this change, the white strip was dropped while the dark blue strip was transformed into a sheet line. The bright blue color was retained and now covers most of the fuselage. The KLM logo was placed more centrally on the fuselage, while the position of the logo on the tail and the tail design remained the same. In April 2010, KLM introduced new uniforms for its female cabin attendants, ground attendants, and pilots at KLM and KLM Cityhopper. The complete new uniform is designed by Dutch couturier Mart Visser. The uniform has the same KLM blue color which was introduced in 1971. KLM added a touch of orange, the national color of the Netherlands, to the KLM blue. Marketing slogans. KLM has used different slogans throughout its operational history. Several slogans that KLM used are, social media. KLM has an extensive presence on various social media platforms, like Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, LinkedIn, Google+, and YouTube. KLM additionally runs a blog. customers can ask KLM questions through these channels. Also, these channels are used by KLM to keep their followers up to date on the latest KLM news, marketing campaigns, and promotions. The usage of social media platforms to reach customers experienced an extreme uptake when the Icelandic volcano Uja larger paragraph cul erupted in April 2010, which caused extreme disruptions to air traffic. Customers used the social channels to reach KLM. In turn, KLM decided to utilize these social networks to reach out to customers and provide them with information about the situation. Following the increased use of social media, KLM decided to create a centralized social media site for the public in October 2010, establishing the Social Media Hub. KLM developed several services based on these social platforms, including Meet and Seat. This service lets passengers find out about interesting people who will be on board the same KLM flight by connecting your Facebook or LinkedIn profile to the flight. Meet and Seat facilitates contact with fellow travelers who have the same background or interests. By launching Meet and Seat, KLM became the world's first airline to integrate social networking in its regular flight process. Trip Planner. This platform utilizes Facebook in order to organize a trip with Facebook friends. Twitter bots. KLM operates several Twitter bots. These include a bot to request the current status of a flight and a bot to request the lowest KLM fares to a destination on a specified date or in a specified month. In June 2013, KLM launched its own 3D strategy game Aviation Empire for both iOS and Android platforms. The game lets users experience what it is like to manage an airline via a game. Players manage KLM from its establishment until now by investing in a fleet, building a network with international destinations, and developing airports. The game combines the digital world with the real world by enabling the unlocking of airports by GPS check-ins. Destinations. KLM and its partners serve 133 destinations in 69 countries on 5 continents from their hub at Amsterdam Schiphol Airport. Codeshare agreements. Besides the codeshare agreements with most SkyTeam members, KLM has codeshare agreements with the following airlines as well: Fleet. As of April 2014, the KLM fleet consists of the following aircraft with an average age of 9.0 years. KLM is currently in the midst of a major fleet renewal program. The complete narrow-body fleet has been replaced by next-generation aircraft. KLM is starting to renew its wide-body fleet. The complete MD-11 fleet will be phased out in October 2014. The new Boeing 787-9 and Airbus A350-900 have been ordered by the Air France-KLM Group. The first aircraft are expected to enter service with KLM in 2015. The Boeing customer code for KLM is 06. The Boeing 737 next-generation aircraft are delivered with Boeing customer code K2, used for Transavia. Fleet history. Over the years, KLM operated the following aircraft types. Cabin. KLM has 3 cabins for international long-haul routes: World Business Class, Economy Comfort and Economy. Personal screens with audio-video on demand is available in all cabins on all long-haul aircraft with satellite phone, SMS, and email services. European short-haul and medium-haul flights feature economy in the rear cabin and economy comfort and Europe business in the forward cabin. World Business Class. World Business Class is KLM's long-haul business class product. Seats in the older World Business Class are 20 inches wide and have a 60-inch pitch. Seats can be reclined into a 170-degree angled flatbed with a total length of 75 inches. Seats are equipped with a 10.4-inch personal entertainment system with audio and video on demand in the armrest, privacy canopy, massage function, and laptop power ports. World Business Class seating is in a 2-3-2 abreast arrangement on the Boeing 777 aircraft and the McDonnell Douglas MD-11 aircraft, a 2-2 abreast arrangement on the Airbus A330 aircraft, and a 2-2 abreast arrangement on the Boeing 747-400 aircraft. KLM's newest addition to the fleet, the Boeing 777-300ER and Airbus A330-300, feature newer World Business Class seats based on the business class seats from Air France. These World Business Class seats are arranged in a pod-style layout that recline up to 175-degree angled flatbed. In March 2013, KLM introduced the newest World Business Class seat, which will be rolled out to the long-haul fleet. Dutch designer Helle Jongerius designed the new cabin as well as the new flatbed seat, which will replace both versions of the angled flat seat that are currently offered in World Business Class. The seat is manufactured by BE Aerospace and is of the diamond type. The retrofit has been completed on 20 of 22 Boeing 747-400 aircraft, and will be completed in June 2014. The new seats are fully flat, and offer 17-inch high-definition personal entertainment systems. When fully flat, the bed is about 2 meters long. The cabin features a world's first, a cradle-to-cradle carpet made from old uniforms woven in an intricate pattern, which is combined with new pillows and curtains following a similar intricate design language. The next aircraft to receive the seats would be the Boeing 777, followed by the Airbus A330. The McDonnell Douglas MD-11 aircraft will not receive the new seat, as it will be leaving the fleet later this year. Dutch design group Victor and Rolf has designed and provides amenity kits to World Business Class passengers. Each year a new design will be introduced, and the color of the amenity kits will change every 6 months. The kit contains socks, eye mask, toothbrush and toothpaste, earplugs, and Victor and Rolf lip balm. Europe Business Class. Europe Business Class is KLM's, and KLM's Cityhopper's, short-haul business class product. Europe Business Class seats have a 17-inch width and an average pitch of 33 inches. Middle seats in rows of 3 are blocked to increase the personal space of passengers. Europe Business Class seats feature extra legroom and more recline than regular economy class seats. In-seat power is available on all Boeing 737 aircraft. Europe Business Class does not have any personal entertainment. Europe Business Class seating is in a 3 abreast arrangement, with the middle seat blocked, on the Boeing 737 aircraft, a 3 abreast arrangement, with the middle seat blocked, on the Fokker 70 aircraft and a 2 abreast arrangement on the Embraer 190 aircraft. Economy Comfort. Economy Comfort is the premium economy product offered on all KLM and KLM's Cityhopper flights. Economy Comfort seats on long-haul flights have 4 inches more pitch than economy class, totaling a 36-inch pitch and double recline than in economy of up to 7 inches. Economy Comfort seats on short-haul flights have 3.5 inches more pitch, totaling a 34.5-inch pitch, and can recline up to 40% more, totaling 5 inches. Except for the increased pitch and recline, seating and service in Economy Comfort is the same as in economy class. Economy Comfort is located in a separate cabin before the economy class zone, and therefore Economy Comfort passengers are able to exit the aircraft quickly before economy passengers. Economy Comfort seats can be reserved by any economy class passenger. The Economy Comfort service is free for passengers with a full fare ticket, for Flying Blue Platinum members and for Delta SkyMiles Platinum or Diamond members. Discounts apply for Flying Blue Silver or Gold members, SkyTeam Elite Plus members and Delta SkyMiles members. Economy Class. The economy class seats on long-haul flights have a 31 to 32-inch pitch and are 17.5 inches wide. All seats are equipped with adjustable winged headrests, a 9-inch PTV with a VOD, and a personal handset satellite telephone which can be used with a credit card. Economy class seats in Airbus A330-300 aircraft are equipped with in-seat power as well. The economy class seats on short-haul flights have a 30 to 31-inch pitch and are 17 inches wide. The economy class seats on short-haul flights do not feature any personal entertainment. The long-haul economy class seating is in a 3 abreast arrangement on the Boeing 747-400 and Boeing 777-300ER aircraft, a €3 abreast arrangement on the McDonnell Douglas MD-11 and Boeing 777-200ER aircraft, and a €2 abreast arrangement on the Airbus A330 aircraft. The short-haul economy class seating is in a €3 abreast arrangement on the Boeing 737 aircraft, a €3 abreast arrangement on the Fokker 70 aircraft, and a €2 abreast arrangements on the Embraer 190 aircraft. The last major interior refurbishment of KLM's economy class took place in 2010 when interior refurbishment of its Boeing 747-400 fleet was complete. During this interior refurbishment, the old economy class seats were replaced by the new economy class seats, which feature more legroom as well as the new in-flight entertainment system. By finishing this refurbishment, economy class now features a consistent product across the complete wide-body fleet. Services: in-flight entertainment. KLM's in-flight entertainment system is available in all classes on all wide-body aircraft and provides all passengers with audio-video on demand. The system includes over 1,000 hours of interactive entertainment, including movies, TV programs, music, games, and language courses. In total, more than 80 movies including recent releases, classics and world cinema are available. Movies can be viewed in several of languages: Arabic, Chinese, Dutch, English, French, German, Japanese, Korean, Portuguese, and Spanish. The selection is changed every month. The in-flight entertainment system can also be used to send SMS text messages and emails to the ground. Panasonic's 3000i system is installed on all Boeing 747-400, Boeing 777-200ER and MD-11 aircraft, and on most of the Airbus A330-200 aircraft. All Airbus A330-300 and Boeing 777-300ER aircraft, as well as some Airbus A330-200 aircraft, are fitted with the Panasonic X2 in-flight entertainment system. No in-flight entertainment system is available in KLM's and KLM's City Hoppers narrowbody aircraft. KLM provides a selection of international newspapers to their passengers on all long-haul flights, while newspapers on short-haul flights are only offered to Europe business class passengers. In addition, a selection of international magazines is available for world business class passengers on long-haul flights. All passengers are provided with KLM's in-flight magazine, the Holland Herald. On-board flights to China, South Korea and Japan, the in-flight magazines Eurosky, in either Chinese or Japanese, and Wings of Europe, in Korean, are offered. On May 29, 2013, KLM and Air France launched a pilot to test in-flight Wi-Fi. Both airlines have equipped one Boeing 777-300ER of each of their fleets with Wi-Fi. Using the in-flight Wi-Fi, passengers can stay online using their Wi-Fi-enabled smartphones, laptops, or tablets. Wireless service will commence once the flight has reached 20,000 feet. Catering: world business class passengers are served a 3-course meal. Each year KLM partners with a leading Dutch chef in order to develop the dishes that are served on board. Passengers in Europe business class are served either a cold meal, hot main course, or 3-course meal depending on the duration of the flight. All chicken served in World and Europe business class meets the standards of the Dutch Beta 11 Keurmerk. KLM partnered with Dutch designer Marcel Wanders to design the tableware of World and European business class. Economy class passengers on long-haul flights are served a hot meal service and a snack, second hot meal or breakfast, depending on the duration of the flight. On short-haul flights, passengers are served sandwiches or a choice between sweet or savory snack, depending on the duration and time of the day. If the flight is at least 2 hours long, stroopwafels cookies will be served before descent. Most alcoholic beverages are free of charge on KLM flights for all passengers. After a successful trial period, KLM introduced a la carte meals in economy class at September 14, 2011, with a variety of 5 a la carte meals available: Dutch, Japanese, Italian, cold delicacies, and Indonesian. By May 2014, the available a la carte meals are Captain's Choice, Champagne Delight, Japanese Delight, Bella Italia and Indonesian rice dishes. Special meal offerings can be requested in each class up to 24 or 36 hours prior to departure. Special meals include children's, vegetarian, medical, and religious meals. On flights to the Asian countries of India, China, South Korea, and Japan, KLM offers authentic Asian meals in all classes as one of the choices. Meals served on KLM flights departing from Amsterdam are provided by KLM subsidiary KLM Catering Services. Delft Blue Houses. Since the 1950s, KLM presents all of its world business class passengers with a unique gift, a Delft Blue miniature traditional Dutch house. These miniatures are reproductions of real Dutch houses and are filled with Dutch gin, Geneva. The houses, however, have not always been filled with Geneva. Initially the houses were filled with Bols liqueur, while in 1986 the switch was made to Bols Young Geneva. KLM started to hand out the houses in 1952 to its first-class passengers. However, with the elimination of first class in 1993, the houses were instead handed out to all business-class passengers. The impetus for these houses was a rule aimed at curtailing a previously widespread practice of offering significant incentives to passengers by limiting the value of gifts given by airlines to $0.75. KLM did not bill the Delft Blue houses as a gift, but rather as a last drink on the house, which was served in the house. Every year, a new house is presented on October 7, the anniversary of KLM's founding in 1919. The number on the last presented house thus represents the number of years KLM has been in operation. There are various special edition houses which are offered as special guests. These special edition houses are the Dutch Royal Palace and the 17th-century cheese-weighing House de Walgengoude. Ground services, KLM offers various check-in methods to their passengers. Passengers are able to check in for their flights at the self-service check-in kiosks at the airport, via the internet, and via a mobile phone or tablet. Check-in by an airline representative at the counter is provided at destinations where the above-mentioned facilities are not available. Electronic boarding passes can be received at a mobile phone or tablet, while boarding passes can be printed at the airport through the kiosks. Since July 4, 2008, KLM, in cooperation with Amsterdam Airport Schiphol, has been a pioneer by offering self-service baggage drop-off to their passengers. The project started with a pilot which included just one drop-off point. However, the number of self-service baggage drop-off points has gradually increased, and as of February 8, 2012 there are 12 self-service baggage drop-off points. Together with the self-service check-in kiosks, KLM passengers are now able to check in without any contact with a KLM employee. In November 2012, KLM started a pilot at Amsterdam Airport Schiphol to test self-service boarding. The passengers board the aircraft without interference of a gate agent by scanning their boarding pass, which will open a gate. Partner Air France ran the same pilot at its hub at Paris-Charles de Gaulle Airport. The pilot ran until March 2013, which was followed by an evaluation. KLM is the first airline in the world to offer self-service transfer kiosks on its European and intercontinental routes for passengers connecting through Amsterdam Airport Schiphol. The self-service transfer kiosks enable connecting passengers to view flight details of connecting flights, to change seat assignments or upgrade to a more comfortable seat. When a passenger misses a connecting flight, details about alternative flights can be viewed on the kiosk and a new boarding pass can be printed. Furthermore, coupons for a beverage, meal, the use of a telephone, or travel discount can be printed from the kiosk when a passenger is entitled to such coupons. Flying Blue, Air France-KLM's frequent flyer program, Flying Blue, awards members miles based on the distance traveled, ticket fare and class of service. Other airlines that adopted the Flying Blue program are Air Europa, Kenya Airways, and TAROM. Miles can be earned as well from all other SkyTeam partners. Membership in the Flying Blue program is free. Two types of miles can be earned within the Flying Blue frequent flyer program: award miles and level miles. Award miles can be exchanged for rewards and expire after 20 months without flying. Level miles, on the other hand, are used to determine membership level and remain valid until December 31st of each year. Award miles can be earned at various Flying Blue partners. Award miles can be earned on Flying Blue partner airlines such as Alaska Airlines, Air Corsica, Airline, Bangkok Airways, Shell Aviation, Khmer, Copa Airlines, Gold Transports or Copyright Rios, Japan Airlines, Jet Airways, Malaysia Airlines, Qantas, TAAG Angola, Twinjet, and Ukraine International Airlines, as well as SkyTeam partners. Award miles are redeemable for free tickets, upgrades to a higher class of service, extra baggage allowance, and lounge access. Award miles can furthermore be donated to charity, through the KLM Air Cares program, or can be spent in the Flying Blue store. The Flying Blue program is divided into 4 tiers: Ivory, Silver, Gold, and Platinum. The membership tier depends on the number of level miles and is redetermined each calendar year. Flying Blue privileges are additive by membership tier, with higher tiers including all benefits listed for prior tiers. There is an additional 5th tier, Platinum for Life, which can be obtained after 10 consecutive years of Platinum membership. After the Platinum for Life status is obtained, requalification is never needed again. Level miles can be earned with Air France, KLM, Air Europa, Kenya Airways, TAROM, and other SkyTeam partners. Qualification levels and general benefits, with SkyTeam airline partners, of the different Flying Blue tiers are as follows. Incidents and accidents. KLM has been involved in several incidents and accidents during its history. The most notable accident involving a KLM flight was the 1977 Tenerife disaster. After this accident, no KLM flight has led to fatalities. Malaysia Airlines Flight 17, which was shot down over Ukraine on July 17, 2014, was code-sharing with KLM as KL 4103. This list does not include KLM's Cityhopper flights. Fatal accidents, 1920s-1930s. On April 24, 1923, Fokker FEH Nabs departed Linton for Rotterdam and Amsterdam. The aircraft was not heard from again. It was presumed to have crashed into the sea, killing the pilot and both passengers. On August 22, 1927, Fokker FEH NADU crashed near Sevenoaks, England. 1 crew member was killed. On December 20, 1934, KLM Douglas DC-2 PHAJU River crashed at Rutbah Wells, Iraq, killing all occupants. It participated in the Mack Robertson Air Race in October 1934 and won the handicap division. It was on its first flight after return from the race and was en route to the Netherlands Indies carrying the Christmas mail when it crashed. On July 14, 1935, KLM Fokker FXXIIPHAJQ Quixote crashed and burned just outside Schiphol, killing 4 crew and 2 passengers. 14 other occupants survived. On July 20, 1935, KLM Douglas DC-2 PHAKG Gay crashed near the San Bernardino Pass near Pian San Giacomo, killing all 3 crew and all 10 passengers. On December 9, 1936, KLM Douglas DC-2 PHAKL crashed into a house after taking off from Croydon Airport, London. The accident killed 15 of the 17 on board the aircraft. 1940s, on December 28, 1941, KLM Douglas DC-3 PKALN Nando was destroyed on the ground by Japanese fighters at Medan, North Sumatra, Dutch East Indies, killing all crew members and passengers. On June 1, 1943, KLM Douglas DC-3 PHALI Ibis, operating BOAC Flight 777, was shot down by 8 German Junkers Ju-88 fighters over the Gulf of Biscay while on the scheduled Lisbon-Bristol route. All 13 passengers and 4 KLM crew members perished. The same aircraft survived 2 previous attacks in November 1942 and April 1943. On November 14, 1946, a KLM Douglas C-47 crashed at Schiphol Airport during a failed landing in bad weather. All 21 passengers, including the Dutch writer Herman de Man, and the 5 crew were killed. On January 26, 1947, KLM Douglas Dakota PHTC crashed after takeoff from Copenhagen, killing all 22 on board, including Prince Gustaf Adolf of Sweden. On October 20, 1948, KLM Lockheed Constellation PH-10 Nijmegen crashed near Prestwick, Scotland, killing all 40 aboard. On June 23, 1949, KLM Lockheed Constellation PHT Roermond, piloted by Hans Pelsman, crashed into the sea off Bari, killing 33 occupants. On July 12, 1949, KLM Lockheed Constellation PHT Dia Franca crashed into a 674-foot tall hill in Atkapa near Bombay, India, killing all 45 aboard. 13 of those killed were American news correspondents. 1950s-1970s, on March 22, 1952, KLM Douglas DC-6 PHT BJ Koningin Juliana crashed in Frankfurt, killing 42 of the 47 occupants. On August 23, 1954, KLM Douglas DC-6 BPHDFO Willem Bontekoe crashed between Shannon and Schiphol in the North Sea, 40 kilometers from IJmuiden. All 21 passengers and crew died. On September 5, 1954, KLM Lockheed Super Constellation PHLKY Triton operating KLM Flight 633 ditched in the River Shannon after takeoff from Shannon Airport, Ireland. 28 of the 56 people on board were killed. On July 14, 1957, KLM Super Constellation PHLKT Neutron operating KLM Flight 844 crashed in the sea near Biak, after takeoff from Mokma Airport at Biak on its way to Manila. The pilot made a low farewell pass over the island, but the aircraft lost altitude, crashed into the sea and exploded. 9 crew and 49 passengers died. There were 10 survivors. On August 14, 1958, KLM Lockheed Super Constellation PHLKM Hugo de Groot operating KLM Flight 607E from Amsterdam to New York via Shannon Airport crashed into the ocean 180 kilometers off the coast of Galway, Ireland. 91 passengers and 8 crew members died. On October 25, 1968, KLM Air Cato Douglas C-47A PHDAA flew into Tafelberg Mountain, Suriname, following an engine failure whilst on a survey flight. The aircraft collided with the mountain in cloudy conditions, killing 3 of the 5 people on board. On March 27, 1977, KLM Boeing 747-206 BPHBUF operating KLM Flight 4805 and Pan Am Boeing 747-121N736 PA operating Pan Am Flight 1736 collided at Tenerife North Airport, Canary Islands, killing 583 people. The incident has the highest number of onboard fatalities of any single accident in aviation history. Notable incidents without fatalities: on July 17, 1935, KLM DC-2 PHAKM Marabo crashed near Bushehr, Iran. All occupants were rescued. On November 15, 1942, KLM DC-3 PHALI Ibis was attacked by a single Messerschmitt Bf-110 fighter. The DC-3 was able to land in Lisbon where repairs were carried out. The damage sustained by cannon and machine gun fire included the port wing, engine nacelle and fuselage. On April 19, 1943, KLM DC-3 PHALI Ibis was again attacked by a swarm of 6 Bf-110 fighters. Captain Koen Dirk Parmentier evaded the attackers by dropping to 50 feet above the ocean and then climbing steeply into the clouds. The aircraft again sustained damage to the port aileron, shrapnel to the fuselage and a fuel tank. A new wingtip was flown to Lisbon to complete repairs. Despite these attacks, BOAC continued to fly the Lisbona-Whitchurch route. On November 6, 1946, KLM Douglas DC-3 PHTBO crashed near Shears. The flight was on approach to Croydon Airport after a flight from Amsterdam. None of the 20 passengers and crew were killed in the accident. On March 23, 1952, KLM Lockheed Constellation PHTFF Venlo suffered a propeller failure and subsequent engine fire during landing in Bangkok. All 44 passengers and crew escaped shortly before the fire completely consumed the plane. A Thai ground crewman ran into the burning aircraft and returned with an infant who had been left behind. On November 25, 1973, KLM Boeing 747-206 BPHBUA Mississippi operating KLM Flight 861 was hijacked over Iraq by Palestinian terrorists. The plane took off in Amsterdam and was bound for Tokyo. After 70 hours the plane made its final landing in Dubai. The passengers were released earlier in Malta. Everyone survived the hijacking. On December 15, 1989, KLM Boeing 747-400 PHBFC operating KLM Flight 867 flew through a volcanic plume causing nearly $80 million worth of damage to the then brand new aircraft. The plane landed in Anchorage, Alaska, with no reported injuries or fatalities. On November 28, 2004 KLM Boeing 737-400, PHBTC operating KLM Flight 1673 had a bird strike upon rotation from Amsterdam Airport Schiphol. The plane continued onwards to Barcelona International Airport, where the nose gear collapsed. No injuries or casualties were reported. The aircraft was written off. Controversies, bonuses. In 2004 senior management came under fire for providing itself with huge bonuses after the merger with Air France and while 4,500 jobs were lost at KLM. Only after external pressure management gave up on these bonuses. Racist tweet, just after the Dutch completed a dramatic late turnaround against Mexico in the 2014 FIFA World Cup, to win their round of 16 Clash 2-1, the airline posted a tweet of an airport departures sign under the heading Adios Amigos. Next to the word departures was a picture of a man wearing a sombrero and a mustache. The picture went viral although was soon deleted after a social media backlash and an apology was released by the airline. Corporate social responsibility, philanthropy. KLM started KLM Air Cares in 1999. KLM Air Cares is a program that aids underprivileged children in developing countries that KLM flies to by collecting money and air miles from passengers. Since 2012 no new applications for support from the program can be submitted as the program is in need of an overhaul. Biofuel. On June 19, 2012, KLM made the world's first ever transatlantic KLM flight fueled partly by sustainable biofuels to Rio de Janeiro. This was the longest distance that any aircraft had flown on biofuels. See also: List of airports in the Netherlands, List of companies of the Netherlands, Air Transport in the Netherlands. References. External links, Official website, Archives of official website. KLM mobile website, KLM corporate website, Holland Herald in-flight magazine, Air France KLM Finance. Destination Guide KLM, Aviation Empire Facebook page.